things can get quite contentious. So I like to begin with a note of positivity.
Welcome to In Frame Out's Year in Film, where we take stock of 12 months of spectacular cinema and unfortunate rubbish. As we get ready to reveal our favourite films of the year, it comes with a sense of sadness. Even with this entire top 10 and a separate collection of honourable mentions, there wasn't enough room to sing the praises of everything that deserves your attention. Anima, Her Smell, Destroyer, and Dragged Across Concrete are just some of the tough cuts that we had to make, but each one is well worth your time. Without further delay, here are In Frame Out's top 5 films of 2019. Gaspar Noé is more likely to shatter your nervous system than pull any punches when he invites you into one of his dens of iniquity. With Climax, Noé has distilled the essence of an anxiety attack into throbbing bass, fragmented mania, and searing, screeching irrationality. What starts as a striking choreographed dance of exuberant youthful energy spirals into strobing elliptical terror as bodies begin to writhe, paranoia ruptures outwards, and euphoria turns to panicked hyperventilating. As the small dance floor devours itself with carnal abandon, the audience is given absolutely no quarter. Unbroken shots last upwards of 40 minutes, the soundtrack never lets up its sonic assault, and the pervasive red of everything gnaws away at the retinas. It's one of the most upsetting experiences of the year, but it's also one of the most accomplished and immediate. The gymnastic smiles of the opening minutes may devolve into a grueling hobbled marathon, but see your way to the other side and you'll feel like you've conquered a towering monstrosity.
When Charlie gets here, I'd whisk him off to Palm Springs. That's what your father and I did whenever we hit a speed bump.
Didn't you walk in on Dad blowing the porter in Palm Springs?
And I always regretted getting so upset about it.
A decade and a half after The Squid and the Whale, Noah Baumbach returns to the well of spousal discord with Marriage Story. After an endearing and outright adorable setup that establishes just how perfect Nicole and Charles Barber are together, the rose-tinted glasses are whipped away to reveal the death rattles of a worn-out relationship. What separates this from the knockdown, drag-out divorces of his previous works is Baumbach's realization that separation is no longer a private pain to be nursed from home. It's a cottage industry for scheming, land-grabbing legal teams who are more than willing to drag children and bystanders into the fray, so long as it ups their billable hours. Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver outshine their already impressive resumes with the defining roles of their careers, capturing the fraught realities of having a lifetime of love for someone you can no longer stand. Speaking as a child of multiple divorces, and as someone who knows all too well the swallowing rifts of marital dissolution, there's not so much as one false note in this pitch-perfect wrecking ball of a film.
Chinese people have saying, when people get cancer, they die. It's not the cancer that kills them, it's the fear.
After grandmother and matriarch Nai is diagnosed with a terminal illness, her family decides to keep this information from her, staging an elaborate family reunion so everyone can return to China and say goodbye without letting on that there's any salutations to be said. How wonderful it is to have a film that examines global and ethnic identities with such kind-hearted, respectful fondness, without ever pulling punches or falling prey to reflexive cynicism. Culture shocks and generational divides are parsed out and carefully considered. Family disagreements are by turns relatably petty and ethically multifaceted. Through these thoroughly believable exchanges that cross the boundaries of language and age, there's never the slightest doubt of the family's affection or the importance they each play in one another's lives. The chemistry of the ensemble cast is a constant delight, but it all comes down to the endlessly entertaining camaraderie between Billy and her grandmother. Hilarious and honest without ever losing sight of the underlying melancholy circumstances that conspire to reunite them this one last time. Awkwafina delivers the star-making turn of the year in a demanding but delicately balanced role, while Zhao Zhuzhen stakes a claim as cinema's new favourite grandmother with a spirited, soft performance that truly sparkles with every soulful exchange. A much-needed and nakedly beautiful reminder that the best way to honour your family is to be there when they need you the most, even if they have no idea they do.
Listen carefully. Who is greatest hero of all time? Superman, Spider-Man, or Batman?
Lord of the Flies meets Full Metal Jacket as we're placed amongst a platoon of child soldiers tasked with aiding in a vague and unidentified war. Armed conflict as a lens by which to view humanity's most morally reprehensible and primal behaviours is the well-furrowed ground of both the daily news cycle and artistic representations of the world in which we live. Monos not only elevates and extrapolates on these long-pondered questions of conduct and character when looking down the sights of a rifle, it does so while condemning the legacy of anger and death that is so often placed on the shoulders of innocents. Traversing the caves, jungles, mountaintops and trenches of these Colombian battlegrounds, teenage trivialities are amplified by their proximity to things no child should ever endure. First kisses are followed by combat drills, mood swings are exacerbated by live ammunition and adrenaline, and sensitivity is a phase you're forced to grow out of. Through the near absence of adults, authority figures or guiding hands of good, Monos acts as a sledgehammer to any notion of civility to be found in civil war, and the sins of the parents burdened onto the children.
공짜로 집안에 소독도 하고 곱등도 없애고.
그래 요새 곱등이 너무 많아.
A diorama of class disparity, the difference between monetary and sentimental value, and the symbiotic and inevitably destructive bonds that connect the working and ruling classes. And if after all that word salad I just spouted, you still can't necessarily tell what this film's gonna be about, that's the idea. You just kind of have to see it for yourself. Much of what makes Parasite originality and labyrinthian execution so invigorating is the same reason a summary can't possibly do it justice. It's nigh on impossible to discuss plot particulars, memorable moments, or even the role each member of the peerless cast plays in the unfolding eccentricities, without robbing a fresh-eyed audience of their own discovery. I suppose that's as high praise as you could give. Parasite makes you want to dig beneath the skin, to absorb each morsel of this deliciously layered, fiercely intelligent, and godless parable. The mood never settles long enough to allow easy categorization, with some scenes starting with a laugh only to end in horrified gasps, but none of it ever feels inconsistent or out with the design of master director and architect of suspense, Joon-ho. People will be cracking this one open and poring over its nooks and crannies long into the next decade.
Hola.
In this exceptionally personal work of autofiction, where auteur extraordinaire Pedro Almodóvar strip-mines the rawest of truth from his whirlwind rags to riches, love-struck to heartbroken life, nostalgia is both a cherished jewel and fool's gold. Antonio Banderas, in the role of a lifetime, is dazzling as Salvador, a man racked with a cruel addiction to memory and unrelenting physical and mental anguish. In this heightened state of agonized perspective, pleasant encounters become life-altering events, minor regrets come to define the path not taken, and the in-betweens of childhood recollections are textured with painterly detail by Salvador's starving creative mind. Are we cursed or cured by past successes? Why do we associate tears with sadness rather than sheer joyous clarity? Are the stark contrasts of joy and suffering a necessary part of the artistic process? Flaws are treated with soft palms and consideration, not merely as something to be bested and excised by the final act. No other release this year crept up on me with such sweeping sorrow and graceful humanity as this. Almodóvar is the rarest of storytellers, in that his most essential works, of which this is surely one, feel like an evolving conversation rather than a static work to be observed from a distance. Overflowing with familial, romantic and platonic love, Pain and Glory is as profound as it is picturesque, punishing as it is pleasant, and an altogether indispensable addition to an essential filmography by one of the greatest filmmakers to have ever lived. But barring all the critical praise and all the nice things I just said, Pain and Glory made me actively kinder to myself. And that's as good a reason as any for why this is In Frame Out's Film of the Year. And there you have it, our top 5 films of 2019. Finishing things off next week, we'll reveal our bottom 5 worst films of the year. Special shout out to our Patreon producers Nicholas Leigh-Revere, Jennifer C, and Claire MD, and a frolicking fist bump to all the patrons who help support this channel day in and out. If you've missed any of our best and worst videos so far, check them out over at the channel, and let us know your favourite films of the year in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with our picks? Let's talk about it. If you'd like to see your name in the credits, additional reviews, access to our Discord, or a membership to the In Frame Out Film Club, consider checking out our Patreon at the link in the description below. Until next time, this is In Frame Out.